Your pet would like to have a word with you. In fact, your dog, cat, bird, horse, fish, even bearded dragon would like to have an entire conversation with you. But having that trans-species discussion is difficult without an interpreter, or go-between, a specifically skilled individual who's been communicating with our animal friends for more than 3 decades, bridging gaps in understanding, elevating relationships, building peace and harmony among all Earth's creatures. That person is Susan Vaughn, the Animal Whisperer.
In this episode, a weasel in the chicken coop. Anne knew she wasn't alone. Something was living under a house on her property, though what it was remained a mystery. But her dog Fiona seemed to have made up her mind, repeatedly sniffing in the same patch of ground as if guarding a secret. Anne had a plan, a few clever tricks, and she was about to find out who or what had claimed the space between the floorboards.
And we were like, something's living under there, but we couldn't figure out what.
Okay.
Because it had to be a small, flexible creature. It
Right.
couldn't be a raccoon or a skunk, not the normal things that we usually have to deal with here, So we knew something was different right away.
Okay.
And then Fiona, the dog, used to come over here when we'd come out the door, and she would sniff. So we were watchful. And then I sprinkled flour, because that's one of the secrets of finding out what's there, because you can see what the print looks like. Nothing. I got nothing. This guy is so smart. He's cute and smart too. And we were very concerned when he showed up in the chicken coop.
What does Thanksgiving dinner look like to a weasel? Well, it doesn't look like gratitude and gathering. It looks like survival. And to a weasel, a plump chicken isn't sentimental, it's sustenance. And that was the dilemma Anne found herself in when she discovered a weasel frequenting the edges of her chicken coop. 2 worlds were brushing up against one another. One animal she loved and cared for, one wild, simply following instinct. She named the weasel Wes, and then she called me. Not to trap him, not to harm him, but to ask a question that required insight. Would Wes be willing to leave Anne's chickens alone? Because when we pause long enough to listen, even conflict becomes a conversation. And sometimes what looks like a problem is simply 2 species trying to survive in the same space.
Nice chickens too, very friendly, but we don't expect them to be pets, We just take really good care of them.
Excellent.
Yeah, hi ladies. So the whole thing with all the ladies is that we feed them so well that the gophers in this area have always been really plump. Because the gophers come and get whatever feed the chickens don't eat. So it's natural, I think, that Wes came here and that we saw him in the coop first. Because what they do is they tunnel where the gophers tunnel, and that's how they get them. So they don't have to, Wes doesn't have to dig tunnels. He just goes wherever they have built them. Oh yes, he's an energy saver. So he popped up. Isn't that something? Yeah, here, take my arm.
Oh, sure.
So he popped up at a gopher hole on the south side of this coop, which of course isn't beautiful. Most people should know that you don't put any hay or anything down there because that makes bugs for your chickens, and they get in trouble. But anyway, he came up a gopher hole, and that's where Will first saw him.
On the other side of this. Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's just past the little chicken ladder here. There was a big, you could see some holes.
He was in the coop?
He was actually in the coop when Will first saw him. He popped his head up. The hole was along the wall there.
Let me get this hole.
Yeah, go ahead. Be careful.
Mm-hmm.
And
this is holy ground right here.
Will was cleaning and raking, and he saw Wes, and Wes saw Will. And there was this big, scary moment for both of them, because Will had never seen a weasel before, and I don't know if Wes has ever been face-to-face with a chicken master. So he ran over here. First he was like, just, oh God. And then he ran over here and tried to get out here. And he was just throwing
Wes did?
himself.
Wes tried to get out?
Wes tried to get out.
He tried to get over there?
Well, he was frightened enough that he didn't get back in his hole, and he was like, well, I'll just run this way. He ended up in this corner. I believe I sent you all the pictures and videos. He was throwing himself at the fence, the chicken wire, and could not get out. And finally, he just turned and he looked at Will and he ran out the door. And that's very unusual, I guess, for a weasel because they're always traveling underground. But didn't we think he was adorable? I think the first thing, though, that we were concerned about was that he was going to eat our chickens. Because there's all kinds of ferrets and foxes. I mean, everything wants chicken. We all eat chicken. We like it a lot. So that was our first concern. And that's why, of course, Will goes running to the other guys in town. And we're going to get a trap and we're going to get this guy. And I, bringing the feminine energy, I called you. I was like...
The first thing I do as an animal communicator is to educate myself about the animal in front of me. Before I ever reach out intuitively, I ask practical questions. What helps a weasel thrive? What does his body need? What prey sustains him in a healthy, natural way? Understanding biology is part of honoring spirit. Instinct matters. With that foundation, I can enter the conversation responsibly. Instead of asking an animal to suppress who they are, I can help redirect them toward choices that work for everyone involved. In Wes's case, I looked at the ecosystem around him. What was already abundant? What would meet his needs without putting him in conflict with Anne's chickens? Well, the answer was clear. Squirrels were plentiful in the neighborhood, and squirrels are well within a weasel's natural diet. When we approach wildlife this way, we're not asking them to stop being wild. We're helping them remember the options that already exist.
I really love Wes, and I really am grateful that nature and the universe sent him because the squirrels were encroaching.
After our conversation, Wes never took a single chicken. And remember, he'd already been seen inside the chicken coop. The opportunity had been there. Instead, something shifted. Over time, the squirrel population in the neighborhood noticeably declined. What had once been overwhelming to the community became far more manageable. And to me, this is not about control, it's about cooperation. When we take the time to understand an animal's true needs, not just our own fears, and when we approach them with clarity and respect, something remarkable can happen. Animals respond, not because they're forced to, but because they are included in the conversation. And again, I've seen that when we acknowledge their instincts, their survival, and their place in the ecosystem, they're far more willing to work with us than we might imagine.
For more episodes in the series, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. To learn all about Susan Vaughn and her services, visit her website at animalwhisperer.net. Be part of the community by subscribing to her Facebook page, animalwhisperer.net. Then sign up for Susan's newsletter to enjoy more of her fascinating animal-human communication stories. So, until next time, join Susan as she talks to the animals on The Animal Whisperer.